welcome back to Slashing Up the Charts. And here we are, it is very, very close to Halloween. Now, this weekend we see the opening of 3 movies into large release, and one that's in limited release that is definitely going to catch a few people's attention, including mine, by the way. Anyway, so I'm going to make this really, really short. I'm in a rush today, so let's make this quick. First movie opening up is Carrie. I don't have the official theater count yet, but it's upwards of 3,000, I believe. Let's see, Chloe Grace Moretz and Julianne Moore are the stars here. Remember, it's a remake of the '76 classic from Brian De Palma. Let's see, Sissy Spacek and John Travolta, Piper Laurie, Amy Irving, Nancy Allen. Great cast. Great cast. And the original, I think it stands as one of the finer horror films. Not only of that year, but of that decade, believe it or not. You know, Jaws was amazing, Halloween, amazing, all these other great 70s films like that. I could go on for a while on that, but I'm not going to. Carrie is one of them that I think gets left out sometimes, but I mean, if you look at it today, it stands up as a good film, just overall. It's still kind of scary in aspects of... what I find scary about it is not really Carrie's power, it's the mother character. Kind of like the classic Disney villains, the villain is always a girl. And in this case, the ultimate villain in this movie is not Carrie White, it's Margaret White, her mother, who is deranged and like hell-bent on Christianity, if that makes any sense. Anyways, but she just, enforces her Christianity on her daughter, and it's... that I think is way more terrifying than anything else in the movie. I have read the novel by Stephen King, and this new version is supposed to be more faithful to the novel, because the original kind of teetered off on places. Overall, it was a strong adaptation, and the first time I saw it, I was kind of taken aback by the fact that they literally were taking dialogue straight out of the book. So I was like, well, why see the movie when I can just read the book, And then eventually, I kind of saw it again, and I said, "Oh, okay," And then I had an open mind to it. Anyway, so this film looks like, as far as how much it's going to make, I am looking between. There are 2 movies I'm looking between. Last year, Paranormal Activity 4 opened to like 24 or 25 million, a low point for the sequels of the Paranormal franchise. And then this summer, there was a movie called The Purge, of course, which opened to, what was it, 36 million? It did 36 million. I'm looking for a number somewhere in between there. However, I don't think Carrie is going to top the charts this week, and I think it's going to be one more week for Gravity. I've only seen it once, but for me, I think Gravity is still one of the better films I've seen this year. My rating on the film is way lower than a lot of other people's. But one thing I didn't mention, I've been really tired this week, so I haven't been able to do it. There's 2 movies now I've seen that I haven't done a review yet for, but this one, Rush. I've seen Rush now. Boy, right now it's the second best movie of the year. I had a blast with the movie. Definitely, I've got my rating already is 10 out of 10 on that one. I love it, so I'll get a review up for that. I've just been so tired lately. I haven't gotten time to sit down and think about what I wanted to talk about. But anyways, with Carrie, I think we're looking at an opening really similar to what my prediction was last weekend for Captain Phillips. I was really close with last weekend, actually. I'm going to say this one gets a 26.9 million opening, so closer to Paranormal 4. But I think just the brand name of Carrie and Stephen King are enough to bring in audiences, and also the fact, and this is sometimes I've seen a lot of lower predictions. Actually, I've seen closer to only 20 million, 22 million, maybe 19 or 18 million. This is the only big horror movie opening up for Halloween season. So I think this next weekend we're going to see I think a good hold for Carrie. Unless it does really bad this weekend and nobody turns out, then I think next weekend Carrie could be a strong holdover, and it could actually remain in second place while Gravity falls to third place. But next weekend, Bad Grandpa is going to dominate the charts. But until then, we've got Carrie, and I think I'm gonna go see it on Saturday night. Actually, Friday I'm busy, and Saturday all during the day I'm busy. So Saturday night I'll catch a screening of Carrie, and I'll see how it holds up to the original. And you know what? While I'm doing that, after I see the movie, I'll probably do a review for Rush, and then a review of Carrie. Maybe I'll do Carrie first since it'll be fresher, and then I'll do a review for Rush. Either way, I'll get those two reviews up, hopefully, sometime very, very soon here. Otherwise, one thing I have noted about this film is already the reviews have just started coming in as of today, and a lot of people are saying one word about this film: unnecessary. Well, not to say I'm particularly rooting for the film to get 100% on Rotten Tomatoes or anything like that. I mean, it looks like it's a fairly good movie. As far as like horror movies go, this looks like it's actually a good one. I have more interest in seeing this than like The Purge and The Conjuring. But then again, you look at how critics looked at that. The Purge is like way down here. The Conjuring was like way up here. So I'm not a huge, But personally, just for me, I think Carrie is. I've read the book, and I really, really like the book, and I really, really like the original. So maybe that's just the reason. But anyways, as far it falls into that trap, I guess that critics absolutely love to hate on, and they love it when their job is easy, when they can just simply say, "It's a remake. We don't need it." And I think a lot of times critics just don't ever think to walk in with an open mind. I'm going to try to do that, even though, yeah, there have been some parts of this trailer where I'm like, well, that's pretty much exactly the camera angle they used in the original. Well, okay. And I've heard it compared to Gus Van Sant's Psycho, which was a disaster. I've heard it compared to The Conjuring. I've heard it compared to other great movies that have, or at least critically, great movies that I haven't seen yet, like The Conjuring, and I think that was the only one I've seen in comparison to. So the critics are kind of all over the map on this one, but I think particularly this is, if I may rant for just a couple of minutes here, and then that'll get me going here. I think that critics really, really need to just shut it as far as that is concerned, because they are so uneven. They are so uneven. Like, for example, the remake, I'm going to use two examples. The remake of Red Dawn was critically panned, and I did see parts. I have not seen the whole movie start to finish, but that's because I didn't want to finish the movie. Red Dawn got panned and was called unnecessary by a lot of critics, but the point is, I don't think you should hate the Red Dawn remake because it's unnecessary. I don't think you should give it a bad review just because it's unnecessary. In this case, Red Dawn was just a bad movie on its own. I think that's the problem with critics, especially with these remakes. They compare it to the original always. And sometimes remakes have an open mind. Like, a lot of people forget The Departed is a remake of Internal Affairs. And of course, I'm just getting this, this is a common example. I could get this from anywhere, but, the original Internal Affairs was, I haven't seen it, but I've heard nothing but good things about it. And The Departed, I like that, yeah. It's Scorsese at one of his best, toward the top of his game, if not on top of his game. So a remake can be better. I'm trying to think. Oh, the other example was True Grit. Remember that with Jeff Bridges from a few years ago? Yeah. Did anybody say that was unnecessary? No. Well, talk about unnecessary. Look at, if you watch the movies back to back, the original and the new one, and if you saw it from my older channel, I'm kind of like on the Gravity bandwagon as far as True Grit goes. I liked it, but I didn't love it. I didn't love it as much as other people. I gave it like an 8 out of 10. And a lot of people give the newer True Grit like a 10 out of 10 or at least a 9 out of 10. Nothing saying it's a bad movie at all. No, it's a good, really good Coen Brothers movie anyways. But not to say that's a particular genre or anything, but that to me is an unnecessary remake. But I went into it with an open mind, and I did enjoy it, but you just can't help but notice that in in the movie, the dialogue between the two, the original and the remake, are exactly the same. Even if they change up a couple of things and follow the novel a little closer in the remake, it doesn't mean that you stop noticing it when they do exactly the same speeches back to back. I mean, it's I don't know how you can't notice that. Anyway, so, but nobody called True Grit unnecessary. I might call it, I'll admit, it's a little unnecessary. The original John Wayne classic was fine on its own. You know, it was one of the better of the Duke's movies, not his absolute best. It wasn't The Searchers, it wasn't El Dorado, it wasn't anything like that. But it was certainly a fun movie and a great movie. While True Grit was a downer, the remake was a downer by the end. Not to say it was, that makes it a horrible movie or anything, but the ending is just kind of abrupt and dark and you don't really expect it. Which is, it's a nice move, and it's a nice way to differentiate from the original, but either way, I like my westerns when they are kind of in the style of a True Grit from the John Wayne era. You know, they end they have a happy ending. They have a joyous, because westerns are just if we look back, when they were killing Indians every 5 seconds back in the 50s and the 40s and all those westerns, those were fun. Those were romp movies. Those are like the current day like Marvel movies. It was just exploding. Like the superhero genre today, it's exploding with every new superhero movie almost becoming the top grosser of the year each year they come out. Westerns were huge back in the 40s and 50s. Anyways, I'm starting to get a little off topic, but either way, I like my westerns like the original True Grit. Not to say I don't like them at all like the new True Grit. It's nice to see something different, but either way, I just think the original's superior. But that's my opinion, and that's how I'm gonna leave it. So why nobody calls the new True Grit unnecessary is beyond me. But I do know why, because they don't even count the original. They just say, "Oh, it's Coen Brothers. We just love it already." Not to pour on the Jonas Brothers, God, Coen Brothers at all, but they just don't notice that. They just see it for what it is, which is what they should be doing with a lot of remakes, not just blatantly calling it out as a bad movie just because it's a remake and just because they want to do another rendition of it. And I'm not going to automatically say that I think this new Carrie is going to surpass the original by any means. If it does, I will be wiped off my feet, and if it doesn't, I'll be exactly where I thought I'm going to be. So, on that level, again, 26... What did I say? Sorry, I'm doing this all off the top of my head. I think I said 26.9. 26.9. If I said 26.8 earlier, scratch that. I'm going to change it to 26.9. Or if it was 26.9 earlier and I'm just going crazy, then it's 26.9 still. Also opening up is Escape Plan. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone are the stars here. And it's basically about a movie about Stallone trying to escape from a prison. And this movie, the trailers looked really intriguing. And I think it's overall looking like a fairly good movie. Even if the reviews aren't hugely great, they're only like 39% now. I might not just purely go by the critics on this one. I might go see it. But either way, the movie looks like it's a fun romp. It looks like Sly and Schwarzenegger are having a fun time together on screen, and you can't miss it, I think, for that reason. So I think the film, I've seen predictions all over the roadmap for this one. I've seen as low as 5 million, Bullet to the Head and that stuff from back in January and February with these two when they were on their own. Like Last Stand had an opening really similar to that. And I've seen numbers as far as up as closer to 20 million. So I think I'm going to place mine, with Escape Plan taking fourth this weekend. And I think it's going to get... about, I'm going to say 11.8 million. The marketing is not the strongest I've ever seen for a movie. And the theater count's only like 2,000 some. A little over 23, something like that. Anyways, but that's that one. I've gone on my rant way too long. Okay, also opening the fourth estate, or is it the fifth estate? I can't even remember. That shows you how much I pay attention. Well, anyways, fifth estate. That's it. Benedict Cumberbatch is the star here, and he's got Daniel Brühl from Rush, who I thought was amazing in that movie, but that's for another video. Anyways, it's the story of WikiLeaks. You know, just how we got the story earlier earlier this year of Steve Jobs, which I didn't see, and frankly, Ashton Kutcher just doesn't really turn me on as an idea of a great Steve Jobs. So that's my opinion. I haven't seen the movie, but either way, I think the film looks decent. It doesn't really look great. It's only opening in, I think, 1,500 theaters, or it's only just a little over 1,000. Not exactly the widest release of the year. So that one I think is going to take potentially. I'm going to say fifth, because Cumberbatch I think can draw enough people. So an opening about 8. No, not even that. I'm going to lower that. 6.7 million. So we've got 6.7, 11.8, and 26.9. That's right, I'm sticking with that, if I changed it earlier. Opening up in limited release, I think I counted 18 theaters. Maybe it's up to 20, maybe it's 20, or maybe it's 16. I know it's an even number. 12 Years a Slave. This movie has got an excellent cast. It's got a great director, Steve McQueen, behind the camera at the helm, and the movie just looks great. The trailer is amazing. It's right now a huge front runner for Best Picture. Gravity is also a high contender right now for the Best Picture slot, and for winning it at least. And as far as this goes, I think when we come down to it, come January, when the announcements are about to be made for who's nominated, I think we're definitely going to see 12 Years a Slave. But by that time, I think American Hustle will be out. That could be a big game changer. Saving Mr. Banks will be out. That could be a huge game changer. That could be a late bloomer and automatically just skyrocket to most potential for Best Picture winner. Also, there's a couple other ones like that are opening that have that potential. I can't just name them off the top of my head now, but there's a couple still to open, like Wolf of Wall Street. That's what I'm thinking of. If they can get it out, which I've heard that story, they can't get it out until maybe Christmas. But either way, I hope we can see Wolf of Wall Street soon, because Scorsese, I want to see that so bad. So basically, I'll just run down the top. What would it be? The top 5 or 6, depending on where we see the Fifth Estate going. But I don't think 12 Years a Slave is gonna get anywhere near the top 10. Just in 18 theaters, I think it's gonna do well in its limited release, and when it expands to wide, which correct me if I'm wrong, is next week. Then I think we're gonna get some bigger audiences for it. Hopefully. Anyway, so number 1 spot, I think we're gonna find Gravity. It surprised the heck out of me last weekend when it got like 40-some million for a second weekend, especially for a movie like this. This is a juggernaut of a film now at the box office. This is going like beyond Lincoln. You know, if you remember last year, Lincoln looked like it was going to be this small, $50 million grossing film. It almost got to 200 million by the end of its run. I think this will go up and above and beyond that. Some people are saying it could get close to 300 million domestically, which would be astounding for an October release, and a total record breaker. But I don't think we're quite going to see that. Number 2, Carrie. Again, my prediction, 26.9 million. And then Escape Plan is going to be 4th. 3rd is we're going to see Captain Phillips still there in the top 3 for just this last week here. I still haven't seen that, really want to see it. And it turns out, I said last week it was Universal, it's actually Sony. Shame on you, Sony. You can release Skyfall its opening weekend, but not Captain Phillips. I don't know. Anyway, so 4th spot, Escape Plan, 11.8 million. And the 5th spot is kind of up for grabs right now. We could see, I don't think we're going to see Machete Kills doing any really good business its second weekend at all. Because that was a really lame, disappointing opening. Way below what I predicted. So let's not go there. I think we could see the Fifth Estate getting the fifth spot here. If not, then it'll go to Prisoners or no, not Prisoners. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. It's between those two. If Fifth Estate can grab an audience, it could grab fifth. If not, Cloudy Chance of Meatballs 2 has it. And the rest of them, who cares? I am in a really, really big rush here, so I'm going to wrap it up. And I'm going to go see Carrie. I recommend you go see Gravity if you haven't yet, because it's a great, great movie. Even if I didn't give it the top rating, that you've seen all year, yeah, it's still a great movie. And definitely go see, if you haven't, Rush. Flat out amazing film. I wasn't expecting a grand masterpiece, and I almost practically got it down to the bare essentials what a masterpiece is. Because what I love about that, and I'll sum it up like this before you see the review, and all sports movies should do this, and especially racing movies. It's not about the race. It's about the racers. And in this case, oh yeah, those two, Hemsworth and Brune, absolutely dominate the screen. So I'll leave it at that, and we'll see you next time. Adieu.